Class 9th. Let's begin with a new chapter of biology, chapter 5, the fundamental unit of life. In this chapter, we shall be discussing about the history of cell, the structural organization of a cell, various cell organelles, and lastly, the comparison of plant cell and animal cell. Moving on to the discovery, it was Robert Hooke, a biologist, who discovered cells for the first time in 1665. While examining a thin slice of cork, Robert Hooke saw that the cork resembled the structure of honeycomb consisting of many little compartments. Cork is a substance which comes from the bark of a tree. He named these small compartments as cells. Cell is a Latin word for a little room. This was the design of Robert Hooke's microscope under which he observed cells for the first time. Nowadays, we can observe the structures like cells under compound microscope. If we take a small piece from an onion bulb and peel off its thin transparent layer and observe it under microscope, we would observe the following structure. These structures look similar to each other. Together, they form a big structure like an onion bulb. The cells of an onion peel will all look same regardless of the size of onion. These small structures are the building units of the onion bulb and are called cells. Not only onions, but all organisms that we observe around us are made up of cells. Now, there is something more to know about cells. Cells were discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665, whereas free living cells were first discovered in pond water by Leeuwenhoek in 1674. Nucleus was discovered by Robert Brown in 1831. The term protoplasm was coined by Purkinje in 1839. Protoplasm is the fluid substance of the cell, which we shall be discussing later on. Cell theory. Cell theory was proposed by two biologists, Sheldon in 1838 and Chevon in 1839. According to this theory, all living organisms are made up of cells, and cells are the basic unit of life. This theory was further extended by Virchow in 1855 by suggesting that all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Now, on the basis of number of cells, we can classify organisms into two categories: unicellular organisms. These are those organisms that have a single cell. For example, amoeba, chlamydomonas, paramecium, etc. And multicellular organisms. These are those organisms which have more than one cell to perform various functions like animals, fungi, plants, etc. Now, these are the different cells which are present in human body: nerve cell, fat cell, bone cell, sperm, blood cell, ovum. From these cells, we can infer that all cells are of different shapes and different sizes. Now, how would we define cell? A cell is the smallest unit that is capable of performing all life functions. The shape and size of cells are related to the specific function they perform. Some cells like amoeba have changing shapes. In some cases, the cell shape could be more or less fixed and peculiar for a particular type of cell. For example, nerve cells have a typical shape. Each living cell has the capacity to perform certain basic functions that are characteristic of all living forms. Now, the question arises, how does a living cell perform these basic functions? We know that there is division of labor in multicellular organisms like human beings. What is division of labor? It means that different parts of the human body perform different functions. Like we have heart to pump blood, a stomach to digest food, and so on. Similarly, division of labor is also seen within a single cell. In fact, each such cell has got certain specific components within it known as cell organelles. Each kind of cell organelle performs a special function, such as making new material in the cell, clearing up the waste material from the cell, and so on. A cell is able to live and perform all its functions because of these organelles. These organelles together constitute the basic unit called the cell. All cells are found to have same organelles no matter what their function is or what organism they are found in.